I told my doctor I would sue him if he touched me and delivered our son on all fours and embarrassed my husband. My 30F husband 32M frequents Reddit, just not this subreddit I don't think, hence the throwaway. 2 weeks ago I had my son. My labor was 24 hours long. My son was not moving. I could tell the doctor was getting impatient before he left. I asked for an epidural, but it just didn't seem to be working. I could still feel everything. I have broken both my legs. I have been stabbed. It was an accident, but it went in one side of me thigh and out the other. However, I have never been in the pain I was in that room. When the doctor finally said that I was crowning, my son still didn't come. There was a barrage of things. They needed to get him out. He said he was going to give me a little cut. I told him at that moment that the anesthesia wasn't working, so not to. He grabbed something from the table. My husband was all, "Everything is going to be okay, blah blah." And I sat up as the doctor got closer and told him I would effing sue him for his lifeblood if he touched me with those scissors. I do remember shoving my husband when he reached for my arm, like he was holding me back from attacking the doctor, which I was not going to do. It is blurry from those scissors. I do remember shoving my husband when he reached for my arm, like he was holding me back from attacking the doctor, which I was not going to do. It is blurry from there, but I apparently got on my hands and knees. I remember squatting, but whatever, and pushed my son out. I did not tire badly, thankfully, for the record. I was still half delirious. I said I wanted all the men out. This included my husband, and screamed for them to get out until they did. Then apparently proceeded to lay calmly while the nurses tended to everything, and I believe a female doctor came in and asked me some questions, some pertaining to a lawsuit too. But I was still delirious, holding my son, etc. One of the nurses that was with me made me feel better and said, "Sometimes mother just know best," and called me a champ. If you were the nurse who said that, I would just like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was an hour and a half before I was feeling myself again and said my husband could come back in. I still feel shaky and horrible whenever I think of it. The idea of even going back to the doctor's office for checkups makes me vomit. I'll ever trust a doctor again. And I see never be having any more children. And thank you, well, my husband hasn't left me alone about kicking him of the delivery room, and he keeps saying how embarrassing it was for him and the doctor, even after I explained that the doctor was going to give me an episiotomy without my permission. He just keeps saying he, the doctor, knew best, even though he's saying me push out son out. Every time he says it, I feel like I've been resenting him more and more. On top of that, I have been having some really crappy nightmares about my husband grabbing me and restraining me in that moment. So I am not sure if I'm just not being understanding enough, because I'm sure he was embarrassed. But I am just finding it hard to be empathetic, which is not remotely the norm for me. I just like some outside opinions, and again, yes, I am speaking to my therapist, but I just like some impartial views. Please forgive any mistakes. I am trying to write this while breastfeeding. How do I gain more empathy, or is this as offensive and insensitive as it feels?